October 1812, the first flakes of snow fell as your main man bawling out. Napoleon stood on a rise overlooking Moscow. The smoking captured capital city of Russia was now a smoldering silhouette against the bruised cloudy sky. This had been what your boy Napoleon was so thirsty for, but victory tasted like ash in his mouth, because the Russian Tsar hadn't surrendered, hadn't offered the expected peace. Instead, there was only an eerie silence and a growing sinister feeling that something was not right. And as the cold wind started to intensify, bringing in cold icy rain, your boy Napoleon would feel some type of way. He knew that even after coming this far that they would need to turn back. Danger was lurking everywhere. The infamous pullout or withdrawal of Napoleon's massive Grand Army would begin in late October. The weighed down with loot and treasure army would start its long march back towards friendly lines, its columns of men, horses, and carts stretching for hundreds of miles. And the plan was simple. Withdraw back towards friendly positions and then wait the long winter out, hoping for a peace settlement with Russia. However, the Russian army, even though it had been badly cooked during the Battle of Borodino, still was lurking. And it wasn't about to just let Napoleon and the French army leave. Your boy General Mikhail Kutuzov, commander of the Russian army, and his boys the Cossacks would have some surprises for your main man Napoleon. As the days passed, fierce snowstorms would begin to sweep across the countryside, and as the long columns of French soldiers stretching for miles marched on, the attacks would begin to intensify. From the very first moment Napoleon and his army started their pullout, they would be stalked like prey. Waves of Russian Cossack cavalry, using the weather and darkness of night to their advantage, would swoop in like eagles and smash into groups of unprepared French. Using their lances and sabers, they would hack down and delete scores of French soldiers, then in a moment immediately disappear as the snow covered their tracks. These types of hit and run attacks would occur at an alarming rate, and they would also harass Napoleon's supply lines in ways that would make a warranty telemarketer feel some type of way. But it wasn't just your boys, the Cossacks, that were lurking. Unhinged villagers had also joined in on the attacks. Forming squads, they would rush in and attack any weak groups of French soldiers, oftentimes carrying them away to face unspeakable horrors. Now, while all of this harassment was going on, your main man Mikhail Kutuzov and the Russian army were making attacks of their own, causing all kinds of havoc. Using a strategy of scorched earth, they would send smaller units to circle ahead of Napoleon and his army and strip the already desolate land bare of any supplies, leaving the French with nothing. And on top of all of this, the weather would continue to worsen. Temperatures would drop to bone-chilling levels. The French soldiers, already being poorly equipped for harsh winter conditions, would begin to freeze en masse. It would seem as though winter itself had decided to co-sign Russia's attempts at brutally evicting Napoleon and the French. And as disease and starvation began to ravage the long columns of French soldiers, a sense of desperation would begin to set in. With temperatures dropping below freezing, fingers and toes and any other exposed parts would become frostbitten. The road would become littered with the bodies of the frozen and with those who had lost their will to live. Some prayed for deletion by the cold rather than meeting their end by the hands of the Cossacks. As one man dropped stiff in the snow, those who followed behind would strip him of anything they could use for warmth. Now your boy Mikhail Kutuzov would set a number of traps along the roads in an effort to encircle and destroy Napoleon. And as the weather began to worsen, these traps would begin to be sprung. You can just imagine the fear and horror the soldiers in your boy Napoleon's army were experiencing. They came all this way only to find themselves being picked apart like a carcass. Falling by the thousands to the freezing weather or Russians, the situation for the once Grand Army was beginning to become hopeless. However, even a dying beast could still be dangerous, and your boy Mikhail Kutuzov didn't want to do anything too risky. He would engage your boy Napoleon and his toe-up army in a number of battles along the way in an effort to draw Napoleon into an engagement that he felt would favor him. However, during the 4-day-long Battle of Krasnoy, Napoleon would find himself and his scattered army in a pretty sketchy situation, with constant fierce fighting and heavy losses being inflicted on his army. He would finally order his Imperial Guard forward to attack the Russians and hold open the road. This maneuver, however very costly, would buy him and his army the precious time they needed to escape. Napoleon and his army would escape to fight again another day. However, as the sun would begin to go down and the cold, dark night came, before they could even begin to rest and lick their wounds, The Cossacks, like they had done so many times before, would strike, deleting and burning and pillaging the ranks of the once mighty Grand Army. Like a never-ending nightmare, they would continue to be a thorn in Napoleon's side.